This is going on the AU next website.
And we're back online, ladies and gentlemen. Having a look at the games from round 6, which the link to which will be posted on Chess Chat, I assume, the site for the tournament, and on aunz.net.au, and also by Facebook for those people connected to the Queensland chess community. Now, the big clash for this morning was, of course, a board 1 game between Brodie McClymont, White, playing against Yi Liu. Brodie opened with e4, Yi Liu with his customary e6, which wasn't too unexpected. White played d4, and we have knight d2, which is called the Tarrasch variation, because after knight c3, black can pin the knight with bishop b4, and although knight c3 is a more aggressive option, knight d2 is perfectly sound. Bishop e7, a very interesting sideline, which I have played myself on several occasions. I have not covered the opening in glory, but it was fun. Knight f3. One of the main ideas is that you wait for the knight to get to f3 before you play knight f6, so White cannot play the Steinitz variation. And in fact, that's what happened. Knight f6, e5, knight d7. And now White may like to play f4, but he's not allowed to. Bishop to d3, c5, counter-strike, c3, knight c6, castles kingside, and the hyper-aggressive g5.
Which I expected when you played bishop e7.
Which I am Brodie McClymont expected, so assumably prepared for it.
I had preparation like 6 or 7 years ago.
But had preparation from 6 or 7 years ago, and that brilliant preparation was a3.
Carolinas.
And black plays h5. And that's because one would expect g4 and taking on d4 here. That's what I would think would be the natural move, just to take the centre, although, as I say, it's bad for black, apparently. So we'll believe how strong I am, and won't dispute it. Although I must say that as White, not knowing the variation, I'd be a little bit paranoid here, but it doesn't matter because Brodie knew the ideas. So I feel like a bit of an echo chamber at the moment. So b4, well, this is a typical move once you've played a3. Once you say A, you have to say B. Once you say a3, you have to say b4. So White recaptures in the centre. That d4 pawn is still on pre. You really can't take it? I'd take it. And in fact, it was taken. What do I know?
I should go 91 here, maybe. Objectively best is probably 91.
Well,
the only reason I didn't do it is because he gave me an alternative. I think if he had gone g4 before c takes d4, then I would have gone 91.
Okay.
But 91's probably the best move.
91 may be the best move. I won't even pretend to understand why, because to me it just looks like...
it's like a really good move, very good.
To me it just looks like it's a central pawn gone for absolutely nothing, but...
Bishop b2, f4, f5.
Then again, what do I know about chess? I'm retired. So it just looks like a big central pawn to me, big fat central pawn. But as I say, I'll defer to young strong players to explain these positions to me. So black attacks the knight, white attacks the knight, black takes the knight. I assume white takes the knight. Yep, white takes the knight. And now if black takes on g2, which looks very good, the problem is that capturing on d7 is a check, so you don't have time to take the rook with check. If it wasn't check, then black could take on g2 and threaten to take a rook with check. But so he has to take back, and now white will take back with, I don't know, the knight? Yeah. Okay, but black has another c-pawn.
Like any French player, you play c5.
Actually, that looks like quite an all. Except in this particular position, I'm not terribly fond of right now because I don't see black's attack on the white king, and I also don't see where black king is going to find safety. So I think if I had to choose without any knowledge, I would prefer to take the position where black played that Maclymon suggested, and that is to play g4 before playing c takes d4. This position just doesn't feel so nice to me. The white knight is on f3 again, controlling the centre.
Don't worry though, I stopped it up later.
Okay, that's good to know. That means that there'll be some excitement.
Not really.
So c5 has to contradict everything all the time. Yes, okay. The combative chess player.
That's not true.
So knight c5, I guess the white squares are a bit of a hassle. Maybe this isn't so bad for black, except the king's safety still concerns me. I don't like having my king have nowhere to go.
I was happy to play
Uh-huh. So both sides are developing their pieces and nobody's getting checkmated yet. Knight to d4. Queen a5, black's pieces are coming out. Well, that's self-explanatory, telling the queen to go away. And the queen goes to a6 where it's eyeing the white square, so
he wants to trade bishops.
And, well, white had to make a move, so he moved his bishop to a square where it attacked something.
No, I want to trade dark squared.
And he wanted to trade dark squared bishops.
And this is where I stuffed it up.
And this is where he stuffed it up. And just in case you can't hear him, I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
Sorry.
If I play rook c1, my idea is to go queen f3, queen g3, queen g7.
If he plays rook c1, then his idea is to play queen f3, queen g3, queen g7. And if you're allowed to play 4 moves in a row, that would be an absolutely fantastic plan.
And the reason why queen f3 straight away doesn't work is he has bishop a4 ideas, which doesn't work with c1.
Okay.
But the reason why it's actually the best move, but the reason why I was reluctant to play it is because I thought that after rook c1, I'm not actually sure what black plays, but if I ever go queen f3, he always plays bishop g5. It's hitting my rook on c1. But the problem with bishop g5 is I think I just chucked the exchange and play queen g3 anyway.
Okay.
Whereas bishop takes c1 and queen g7.
Yep.
Rook f8 and then this rook takes c1 and I'm probably better.
Maybe. How would I know? But, okay, a4 was played instead, which I guess is...
Which is bad because of queen c4.
Thank you. But queen c4 wasn't played, rook g8 was played, so rook g8 is a mistake, is it? So queen c4 getting amongst the black pieces amongst the white pieces, looks like it's an aggro kind of move. And yes, I'll take Brodie's word for it that it's good. He's obviously spent more time in this position than I have. So, but yes, queen c4 is the kind of move that you'd want to play in 1 minute chess simply because it attacks up a piece immediately.
Yeah, I completely missed it, to be honest.
And also rook g8 leaves a pawn on h5 on pre. No, it may not be able to be taken, but...
Because of queen c4.
Yeah, because of queen c4 again, but still. c4, knight b5. Now that looks like a proper place for a knight. And as we can see, if bishop b5, I suspect bishop c5. No. A takes immediately. No. Who cares? Oh, bishop takes immediately. Okay, so A takes. And if queen takes, well, if... Bishop d2. I'm trying to win the queen somehow.
No, bishop d2.
Yeah, let me try to win the queen.
Okay, sure.
Bishop c5, what do you take with?
The queen.
Oh no! That was a 33%er. I had one chance in 3 of winning his queen, but he guessed right. So bishop d2, hoping for knight e4, attacking the bishop. Queen c, finally the queen gets to c4, but now she's not attacking anything. Oh, rook takes, and now we're going to see that sort of...
I expected rook g4 now.
Attacks. My guest commentator expected queen g4 here in his game. Rook g4. He expected rook g4.
And there's perpetual check ideas.
And there's perpetual check ideas with something or other. So let's see.
Best move is h4 though.
Best move is h4. d4. Well, that's sort of a human move. That looks quite natural to try to play d3 to... And after the natural move, white's winning. But still, bishop h7. Okay, a nasty little in-between move, in between something or other. Okay, personally, just again, a 1 minute chess suggestion would be rook to g7, because, or rook to g4. I want to keep my rook on that g file, because why did I put it on the g file if I don't want to mate white? Rook h8, well, I'm sure Yi Liu is a very strong player, and he would have kept his rook on the g file if it were possible, because moving it back to the h file, well, white takes anyway.
Oh no, I can't.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have been able to take that pawn if black had played rook to g4, because that would have been an illegal move.
But I'm currently threatening bishop d3.
And white's currently threatening bishop d3, swapping the queens and going into ending a pawn up with the 2 bishops. Very dangerous. So black moves the knight back to d7. There's, yeah, I guess threatening knight f8 or threatening something, some stage. Queen h6 threatening, now I know what that threatens. That threatens queen g7, I assume.
And rook c1.
And, oh, the double threat. I didn't understand
I think
it was a double
now
threat.
is bishop c5, but it's according to the computer, so it's hard. No human can play that move.
And no human can possibly see that move. It is way, way too complicated. Mind you, okay, and queen d5 is no good because of...
Queen d5?
Yeah.
Can't I just go queen g7?
Queen e5?
Oh yeah, queen d5
Ha ha, tricked you.
Queen d5 is rook e1.
Ah, okay. Damn. Oh,
So queen e2.
and
What's really funny is what he told me after the game.
And knight f8 is not possible because of some kind of rook e7 at some stage, yeah. Queen e2.
And white to play and win.
White to play and win. Well, rook e1, I guess.
And this is what he told me after the game after rook e1. He said he realised my bishop was defending my queen on h6, but didn't realise the queen on h6 was defending the bishop on d2.
Ah!
So he forgot about the backward moving queen.
Okay.
It's a bit unusual.
That makes perfect sense. That explains everything. So after rook e1, oh, rook h7, not queen to g4.
Queen g4 h3.
Still. Okay, yeah, I guess. Queen f5.
Bishop f5 simple.
Rook h6.
Bishop h6.
Oh, the bishop is defending the queen. I didn't see it the other way.
The forward moving bishop.
Yeah, the forward moving bishop. Yeah, I thought you said it can only move backwards now. So, okay. Rook e2. Rook h6, bishop h6, but this is just the eggs, yes?
Yeah, but it's funny how it finishes.
d3, rook to e1, bishop to b4 hits the rook, rook to e1, I guess the knight e5 at some stage.
Been a bit more tenacious, but
Force therefore best. h3, just the quiet move, the quiet achievement. Rook to c2, with, I guess, threatening bishop c5 and some kind of attack on f2. Just in time, white saw it. King d7. Hey, now the pawn on d3 is on with check. Quick play.
King e7, bishop f8.
Yep. Bishop f4 now. Yes. Wins on the spot, almost.
Oh, it's really funny.
Oh, that's just mean.
Keep going.
So bishop e5, rook c1, rook a1. Now bishop c3? No.
Keep going.
Bishop a3.
I know my favourite move. Keep going.
Rook c1. And that's the end of the game.
The Duke wants pen.
Oh, bishop takes. He keeps the pawn.
Yay.
So the position is 3 pawns each and a bishop each and a rook. For white only, unfortunately, for black. So, okay, so let's see. Paul Garbett has again been ultra solid. And,
Solid.
well,
Very technical.
okay. The result is the same, I guess. Whether it's Paul and John Bouchou have been unlucky. They've played hacking chess, and it still ends up as a draw. So this is the board 2 game. Let's have a quick look at it. Paul is playing a Leningrad Dutch as white. And wow, okay, I can see what he means. The pieces are tearing each other apart already. White takes. And h5. Yeah, this is certainly a swashbuckling game. Knight f3 and d6. So we've sort of got a Leningrad, Franz Gambit mixture of both players are making this up as they go along. Black didn't feel like taking the pawn. Now he does, or white didn't feel like taking an extra pawn, and now a position that I'd be surprised if it ever had occurred before, but it's possible. Knight c3, h4, now what would I play here? Probably bishop e3, so I can play king d2 next. No, knight e4, okay. I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, since I'm a great fan of development, I believe in this position I would have gone bishop e3, followed up by king to d2, or if time permits, queen d2 and castle's queenside. But I want that king out of there now. And knight e4 doesn't help in that respect, simply because the bishop on c1 still hasn't moved. Makes it harder to castle. And okay, black's having fun. Go away, he says. And bishop g5. Now bishop e7, yes. Bishop takes, queen takes. No, knight takes. Okay. Makes sense because but it allows knight g5. Knight c5, of course, it doesn't allow. Does any junior wish to tell me why knight c5 is no good? Young man over there? Why doesn't white just take the pawn on a5? c5. Damn, I gave the other square away. Queen a5 check, yeah, exactly. Here, have an imaginary chocolate. Catch it. Yeah, your mum stole your chocolate. So, queen to d4. Okay, I think white's allowed black to play something unnecessary. Ooh, and now we've got to have a check on g1 after he3. Now, because of his reluctance to develop, he can't recapture on g3. So e3, and black can now just play queen h4, I assume. Yes, queen h4. So a bit misplayed by white. Still, nothing tragic. At last he's managed to castle and black hasn't. So what's black going to do? Move the queen, bishop e6, your guess is as good as mine. He takes another pawn. Yep, if in doubt, take more stuff. And now black's thinking it's my turn to attack. And sidesteps. Black sidesteps. White continues making moves that look like they're threatening something, and they probably are. Queen h6 covering this. Does that really do anything? Sorry? Yes, it is attacking e3. Very good. Yep. It's kind of allowing queen to d8 check though. I wonder if queen to d8 check is serious. Well, white has to do something. So, knight c7. Okay, attacking a rook. So I guess he wants rook to b8, queen a7, and doesn't care about the pawn. Rook to b8. Queen c5, not queen a7. Now, I wonder why not, if queen a7, just knight c6, attacks the queen and protects the rook, right? If white plays queen a7? Yep. Knight c6 would just defend the rook and attack the queen. So, but then he could have taken the c5 pawn with check, so I'm not sure. Where? If the knight goes to c6 to play bishop g2, yes. So that's a good question. So why doesn't he play queen a7 then? It looks like it wins the rook, doesn't it? So it means that I'm sure that he saw it. There must have been some really nasty counterplay. I just don't see what it is. Queen a7, you can't, as you pointed out, you cannot play knight c6 to defend the rook. So what else can you play? Maybe you can play queen e3 check, but then king b1, and you still can't defend your rook. I guess it's a mystery. Maybe you can play something like, maybe it's possible to play queen g5, but no.
You could question queen.
Yeah, exit. We can't write down, but so queen c5, queen. Yeah, that's a good idea. But I'm sure he'll know what he would have played. Queen e7, or what Fernandez would have played. Now he takes it. Okay, knight c6. Okay, but now it's different because the rook on h1 is hanging. So that's why he doesn't take it. And now queen e7. Queen takes. Okay, it looks like there's no more danger to the rook. And what's the material? 5 pawns against 5 pawns, bishop and knight against bishop and knight. Well, okay, so that's why it ended the draw. Still, I like black here. g5? No. Why doesn't he play? Because h2 is on. All right, okay. There's a piece being threatened. Wonder if there's some kind of trick that we can play. Like, to keep the pawn, can we play e4, and if d takes e4, knight e5? Maybe. It seems a bit risky. Okay, rook h3 attacks the bishop. White defends it. And black develops his bishop. And white's got a pawn. Yeah, so black's not panicking. So why is this a a3, knight e7? Oh, look, he's got 2 pawns. Only 1 pawn. And it's going to be a check, takes rook h2. And the bishop stops a2, and now black's got, okay, knight e6 check, bishop takes, G4. Whose pawns are more dangerous? Black's pawns are more dangerous, but there's more of whites. Oh, rook A1, rook H1. That one. 6, bishop back. And look at those 2 pawns, there's 2 of them. Well, yeah, there's always 2 pawns of 2 pawns. So what's black going to do now? Stop the A pawn with knight C6 or play G3 to continue to push them? G3 to push them. Because G2 followed by F3 would be quite strong, I guess. A5, rook H6. Wow. Yeah, but he doesn't. So he's happy for the knight to defend the A pawn, and he wants to, as soon as black plays F3, 2 connectors are going to be hard to stop, aren't they? So rook to G1 to stop F3. Okay, interesting. Knight F5, threatening to take on E3. Takes, pawn takes. A6. Knight 2 goes in. I guess that's threatening knight check and rook A6. Rook G3 check. Oh, this is HC. Because it's white's turn. Black just played knight A3. Yeah. Rook, because it's check. Yeah, you can't answer a check with a check. But what's happening now? Now it's the exchange. Ah, and the players agree to a draw. I wonder why white accepted the draw. Yeah, good question, isn't it? Well, okay, what does white do? Well, if it's black's move, he could play rook G6. It's black's move. Now, white has just captured an E3. So black plays rook G6 with the idea that if A7, G2, A8, queen, G1, queen. Check. But you've also got to ask, maybe the white king can hide. Bishop D5, then rook A6, and that you don't want to play now, because that's only if the A pawn is gone, rook against bishop and 2 pawns, I mean that will easily be a draw for black. Black can hold that easily. But with the extra A pawn, if white wins this pawn, for example, like king F3 and king G3, if he's allowed 2 moves in a row, that is then winning. This extra pawn makes a huge difference. So white can't swap the A pawn for the G pawn. If he wins the G pawn for free, he's winning. But he probably can't get it for free, or, well, maybe black didn't want to test it. But without an engine and without, well, I can't work it out. Okay. Now let's have a quick look at Mr. Stoich's game against Tom Maguire. Have you already finished your game? Oh, I got a bye. Okay, that's a shame. So B3, bishop B2, castles, and we've got the double fianchetto for white. King's Indian set up for black. A6, okay. So black is playing the standard. Sorry? Yeah, well, it's a... Oh, you have to, if you play this as black, you have to play it very aggressively. D5, and now, you know what move to play in this position, of course? Well, what they played here was knight D7. I would have gone knight G4 here myself. Just to provoke H3, and because the pawn can never take. I'd really like to see okay, maybe knight d7 is just as good or better, but so knight c3, black takes, white takes. Now in this position now, I think I'd want to play take with the pawn, so that my knight had an outpost on d4. I'm not so keen on knight takes. Queen d2, 7, rook to d1, very quiet chess, and now knight to d5. So white's playing for a small advantage. Let's see if he'll... Ooh! Okay, now that is a really big surprise to me. Simply because, okay, he wants to keep the diagonal open, but he's not going anywhere. But if he plays c takes, then after rook to c1, he's going to be able to triple pieces on the c7 pawn, because the c6 pawn, c7 pawn, if it moved forward to c6, the pawn on d5 could take it, and then there'd be several weak pawns. So if you have a position like this and you can take with the c pawn and create a lot of pressure on the c file, it's quite useful, because after the move that white played, he doesn't in fact have any pressure along the c file. Black is, well, because it's not open. So I think that was a mistake. Tom Maguire plays a5, f4. Yeah, c6, I'm finding these moves are a little bit tricky to understand. c5, okay. So I wonder why that's not... Okay, so because the bishop takes. Okay. No. I wonder what the exact reason is why d takes c5 isn't played here. Doesn't seem to lose anything. Oh well. It's not ours to reason. Wow, no, he took it. Bishop g7, king g7, bishop c6, queen d2, rook d2. Yeah, as it's... Yeah, it's also in England, they call it the Irish Pawn Centre. But only in England.
I feel like this has actually happened to me in the game.
Rook to c1, rook to d8. Wonder what they're doing. Rook to d8, rook to d8, rook c5. So, and we have an endgame where now white's going to be a pawn up. And, well, we think he may be able to do something, because his pawns are quite well sheltered and they're providing cover for his king. And once the a-pawn gets moving, it'll be hard to stop it. h4, well, black's trying to create counterplay on the other side of the board. The black pawn, if it doesn't get taken, might go to h3, and if it does get taken, he'll break up the white king side. So white prefers a broken up king side, says I don't care. And there goes one pawn. Yeah, rook to e5. No, rook to d5. So that if rook to e2, the idea of that must be so that rook to e2, you play rook to d2, because the king and pawn ending will always be winning. Rook e4, king b3, and now... Oh, so why does he play rook d2, do you think? Because rooks belong where? No, the rule is rooks always belong behind passed pawns, whether your opponent's or your own, because it has a lot more range if it's behind the pawn than in front of the pawn. If it's blockading in front of the pawn, it can't move, while behind the pawn, it's got the whole file to move on. So it's good for defense and attack to put the rook behind the pawn. So that's why he's moved back to put the rook on a2. So he wants to put his rook behind the a-pawn, and he wants black to put his rook in front of the a-pawn.
Apparently, when you show
Oh, okay, so this must have been exciting. So white plays a5 immediately, doesn't play rook a2. Rook goes back, and he's pushing his pawns forward. And, ooh, let's see if now it's just a question whether he can get back in time. Okay, attacks the g pawn. King f3, shouldn't be able to, g3. H4, that's the secret. King e4, rook check. Rook d, what? Well, that was a waste of time. And now the h5 move anyway. What about rook f8?
He wants to just moved it wrong.
Wow. Check. There's a problem here. But what is the problem? Okay, because of the d1 square. So where does the king go? Black resigned here. It's actually very clever because if the rook goes to e5, how does white win? No, if the king goes to e5, if black plays king e5, how does white win? No, it can get taken. Look, it's got, white has the opposition. If the king goes to e5, black can't go to any squares on the d file, right? So, and f1 is not check. So you've got one move spare to do something clever after king e5. Rook to g8, exactly. And then if f1 check, then you play rook e8. Black must step onto the f file, and then you play rook f8 and take the queen. But the king doesn't have to go to... Yeah, so we have to figure out why the resignation, because he could have gone to d3. Oh no, if he goes to d3, then it's rook to f4 immediately. So in king f3 is out. So the last move we're left with is actually king to e3. So how do we win after king to e3? Don't ask me because I haven't figured it out yet. Well, we could play rook to g3, and then black couldn't go on to the second rank because of rook g2. But after rook g3, what if he just goes straight back to e4? Rook back to g4, but no, that's a perpetual, and we don't want a perpetual. So do we? So that's actually a good question. King e3, rook g3. Is that the only move? And then king back to e4. Oh, well, looks like we'll have to ask Tom Maguire why he resigned. Because I am not good enough to figure it out. So, okay, let's go. Internet audience wants to see the next game. And this is a game between Mr. Silva and Stephen Solomon. And we have a Sicilian, so Stephen is playing Sicilian these days, very interesting. And we're sort of transposed into, well, not really a French because there's no white squared bishop. Sort of into a c3 Sicilian, kind of. And Mr. Silva, he also likes endings. So we have two people who like endings. They should both be happy here. Bishop F4. Nah. Just have to say I prefer knight to D2. So you have to move the knight anyway, and the bishop has got E3, G5 has got lots of options. The knight only has one option, so make the move that you got to play first. Knight E4 and bishop G3. That looks quite nasty now. Black can get the two bishops, and of course he does. Stephen likes two bishops. Pawn takes, as do a lot of chess players. King E7, knight D2, rook D8, knight C4, A6, king F1, rook to C8, king E2, bishop A7, knight E3. The bishop makes a difference with pawns on both sides, and black now tries to seize more space with F5. Rook D1, and white's just happy to swap pieces. D1, knight D1, and king F6. I take it planning to play E5, G5, just to create some pressure. G5, okay. H5? No, G4. Guessed wrong. Knight D2, now H5. Okay, I got them in the wrong order.
Is black's position better here?
Yes, yeah, black's position is better, Sophie. He has, first of all, there's pawns on both sides of the board, and bishop can roam and range. And his king pawns are a bit of a liability. His kingside pawns are a bit of a liability. So, yes, I'd say black has a fairly substantial advantage. E5, now that would be a move that I'd be scared of making, but Stephen has calculated everything out because it's giving your opponent the D5 square, but I guess unless you give your opponent something, you can't make any progress. Knight B3, heading for who knows where. Takes, knight C4, heading to B7. Oh, black doesn't care. Here comes the attempt to play something spectacular. Knight A5, H3. Okay, so, and black now has a very strong pawn on H2. How he's going to convert that is a bit tricky because black has stopped it, but So can anybody, well, you can see Stephen's move on the board, but it is quite nice because bishop F2, the king cannot take because pawn to H2 and you can't stop the pawn from queening, so that's nasty. But white can and should probably play king to H2, but then he's going to lose his C3 pawn. In fact, after knight A5, knight A5, bishop to B6. King H3, bishop A5. Okay, so now we see how this happened. So Blake just basically gave up his extra material for just a winning king and pawn ending. And now let's see, Igor Paevsky beat Michael Ostapenko last round. And that was an English opening, but quickly became a Queen's Gambit declined Catalan, something like that. Slav, Queen's Gambit declined Catalan Slav. No, semi-Slav, black hasn't captured on D5 yet, has he? With the knight. Isn't that the difference? If black captures with a pawn, it's a Tarrasch. Ah, that's Tarrasch and semi-Tarrasch. That's the difference. Okay. And the bishop's still on C8. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt for a second. I am putting up a cheesecake. Is that okay with you?
Oh, absolutely. Sure, I'd love a slice of cheesecake, please. A small one, though. And if I could possibly impose on you for a cup of coffee as well, that would be just brilliant. Cheesecake without coffee isn't the same. Just some cream, just some normal cream. Thank you. So I'll have to. In fact, what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to have a quick cheesecake break for a change, and we'll get back to you immediately with the rest of this game.